Hi, I'm Len Witt, and I'm here with Bart Lubow, who is the director of the Juvenile Justice Strategic Group at the Annie E. Casey Foundation. Bart, how many years have you been working to try and reduce juvenile detention and come up with alternatives, innovative alternatives?
Well, specifically in terms of juveniles, for about 20 years now. But over the course of my career, it's almost 40 years now that I've been in the where my work has been about developing alternatives to incarceration and better managing correctional populations.
So tell us about 20 years ago compared to now.
Well, 20 years ago, we were in a period of rapid escalation of rates of incarceration. And in the juvenile world, that meant, for example, that approximately 2 out of 3 kids in secure detention on any given day were in facilities that exceeded their rated capacity. We were admitting back in the early 90s close to 600,000 juveniles to secure detention centers annually.
600,000.
Yes.
Wow.
And as I said, most jurisdictions were struggling with chronic crowding and deteriorating conditions of confinement.
Okay, so now, 20 years later.
Well, 20 years later, there's a vibrant detention reform movement that's committed to the idea that we need to lock up the right kids, but only the right kids and only for the minimal amount of time necessary to get them to the next stage of case processing. So we've reduced populations in detention dramatically across the country in the past decade or so, especially as a large number of jurisdictions have embraced the values and the strategies of the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative.
Which is?
The Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative is essentially the Foundation's flagship juvenile justice reform effort. It's an effort that essentially tries to help transform systems so that they safely reduce reliance on secure detention by having a greater array of options, by making smarter decisions, by conducting case processing with less delay inherent in it, by using data to clarify what policies and practices work and which don't work.
So, I've been at the conference here for the last 2 days, and there's a lot of success stories. So, is this representative of what's going on over the whole country, or is this a drop in the bucket? Is this just a select few of people who've made changes? What does this represent, what we're seeing here today?
Well, I think it represents a national trend. JDAI will have a presence in 38 states in the District of Columbia by the end of 2012 in more than 150 jurisdictions, including most of the largest jurisdictions in the country. So the reach of the initiative is very, very broad, and even places that are not participating in the initiative have access to the strategies and the experiences of these sites because all that information is posted and published. So I think that this is not a drop in the bucket, as you say, or sort of exception to the rule. I think this actually is emerging as the rule.
Great. So, give me maybe some raw numbers of how many kids are affected now, over these 20 years, what the reduction is. And then maybe if you have a personal story that kind of sticks in your mind that represents what's going on, that'd be nice too.
Well, JDAI sites collectively have reduced their reliance on detention by more than 40%. The most recent results reports indicate that in the aggregate, they've reduced the number of kids they detain when you compare prior to the reforms to current year by 42%, with no diminution in public safety. In fact, public safety results in the vast majority of those jurisdictions all have shown improvements. If you compare JDAI sites with non-JDAI sites in the same state as a kind of naturally occurring experiment, what you find is that JDAI sites have reduced their detention populations at a rate 5 times greater than non-participating sites. So I think there's little doubt about the effect of the initiative in terms of its overall ambition of safely reducing reliance on detention. The ripple effects that one finds throughout the systems and the underlying stories of transformation and system reform that add up to those numbers are, of course, as diverse as the sites, and are rather informative and interesting, and are things that hold keys for jurisdictions all around the country in terms of figuring out how to make a juvenile justice system that is both better able to protect public safety and better able to redirect kids whose behavior has gone astray.